We are live. This is the market update. I'm your host, Bill Noble. Do you want to see long-term bullish patterns in Bitcoin? Do you need a trading plan over the next 10 days to buy a dip? Of course you do. Stay right here with the market update. We're going to show you the long-term charts, the bullish oscillators, and I'm going to reveal some new experimental work using Fibonacci and time. Sometimes I'll do Fib Circles. This time I'm using Fibonacci channels. Bitcoin is probably going to go up and is probably going to reach a major high in May of 2025. So you could have a bull market that lasts that long. And how about this? How about a return to the highs of 2021 for Solana and Avalanche? Is anybody crazy enough to suggest that that entire bear market could unwind itself very suddenly? Probably not, but I am. We'll talk about those charts. All right, let's put a brief reminder that if you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live, and if the content works for you, hit the like button. Bull Runner here first on the stream. Wrong again, what's up? Mike Rocks, Kenneth Phillips, welcome. Wrong again. I'm early, but we're right on time. Greg from Carson City. CryptoPath with the notorious love from Quebec City. Robin Ready to Rumble. Right? Rave Song Records was on the Gold Retriever Twitter space, which I always retweet on my Twitter, crypto_noble. Windy day in South Dakota. Okay, Israel from Alabama is here. Perry goes, let's go. Middle Georgia, Big Rich. Warner Robbins, right? Show me the weekly chart versus the RSI. I'll be happy to. Sports Hobbyist is here, right? Chinimi, welcome. Ashton, Reverend Flashback. Varying Viewpoint, good morning. Justina, hi. Yo, Notorious from Andre. All right. Jolene said, Bill, I found you. I missed your streams. Yes, there are a lot of people who are just now finding the channel. So if you've been here for a long time, welcome and thank you. If you just got here, welcome and thank you. Okay, Sleazy Minx, NFT artist is here. Big Rich, RNDR is rolling. K9 Crypto from Wales, UK. Right, and we have Jan here from Krakow, Poland. Bypass Barry, Netherlands checking in. All right, let's get to the news. There's plenty of it. A lot of people keep talking about the Fed continuing to tighten. Cramer was talking about that this morning. I just don't know why. Dell Technologies to lay off 6,500 people for sport. That's about 5% of the global workforce. Big tech companies are going to do this. They're having trouble growing revenue, and they're just in a cost-cutting mood, right? This is like 10,000 people out of Meta, 10,000 people out of Microsoft, 6,600 people out of Dell could be particularly devastating because housing in Austin is already down 40%. And the government is incapable of saving us from falling trees. Or should I say it differently, the government is incapable of keeping the power on when it's an ice storm. So everyone thinks Austin, Texas is this perfect, pretty place. Austin, Texas is wonderful. This is devastating, right? And the Fed knows it. So just because you see 520,000 jobs created, okay, this is 6,000 people who may not be able to pay mortgage, who have to sell in a market where there's no bid. US dollar surge dampens crypto market momentum. God, they can't get away from loving the dollar. God, I love this. Cardano's new algorithmic stablecoin, DJED, okay, Cardano mainnet. This is being released on the mainnet. It's tied to the dollar and backed by Cardano's native token, ADA. Okay, so the last time we did an algorithmic stablecoin backed by something experimental like Terra Luna, it turned out badly. Turned out badly, obviously. Okay, is Cardano better than Luna? Well, we certainly hope so. Most important thing is this is something actually running on Cardano. I think that's the main point. Something is running on Cardano, right? It reminds me of ETH back in like 2019 or early 2020 when DeFi started, right? Something's got to start running on these platforms. And if it does, and they figure this algorithmic stablecoin thing out, crypto can go a lot higher. One thing that bear markets do is they enforce discipline, right? They don't tolerate any BS. You don't have the liquidity wave. So for example, if you want to build a crypto project, it better be based on something real, like gold and water and putting commodities on a blockchain. Or in this case, making a new stable coin that takes advantage of a very large established blockchain. I don't know. You know, it's got to have a value proposition. Stable coins and these algorithmic stable coins got created because they filled a really interesting niche in the market, right? They didn't just create it for the hell of it. So I hope Cardano actually does well and doesn't wind up blowing up. Firms who unlawfully advertise crypto in the UK could face jail time. I mean, what's next? Is this Minority Report where, you know, you put up an advertisement, you go to jail. You talk about it, you go to jail. You think about it, they put a neural implant in, you go to jail. I mean, this doesn't look like much, but these things bother me. And the whole reason why you have crypto to begin with is so you can have a measure of freedom. By the way, speaking of freedom, our heart goes out. A metaphorical moment of silence for everybody in Turkey. Anybody out there who's listening, who has friends out there, you know, the market update hopes that you're okay. I promise you by the time that whole situation is over, you will hear a story about somebody who was saved by having physical gold or silver coins on hand or Bitcoin on a thumb drive, right? Because when internet, computers, banks are all out of commission in a particular area, somebody is going to use alternative money to survive. And even if that's not the case, we hope everybody just survives, period. More crypto job layoff disaster news. Crypto exchanges made up 84% of job cuts. All the job cuts in an industry occur at the bottom. We'll pull up the NDX chart later so I can show you, you know, why Dell, like most companies, lays people off at the low. This is unbelievable, right? I would not touch crypto in a million years. James Cramer blasts dangerous $4.3 million bailout of a crypto bank. This, you know, and here's how to prep for a collapse of crypto confidence. Okay. You know, what can I say about that? FTX sends confidential letters to politicians, apparently not that confidential, telling them to pay back $93 million in donations from Sam Bankman-Fried and others. I'm not sure if the graphic is out. I know I had it on my Twitter of just like, you know, there's huge amounts of money that went to, like, say, the victory fund for the current administration. Okay. I told you when SBF, when they tried to pin everything on him, he was going to roll over on every single politician for sport. For sport. He was going to roll over on all of them, and that is exactly what they're doing. They're not going to get any money back from these guys, and if they do, well, okay, they do. I don't know if they're going to get money back, because then that creates a headline that they took the money in the first place, and everybody's going to want to know why someone took it, who was involved. It's a nightmare. So have fun taking down SBF. It's a question of time before SEC, CFTC, and congressional leaders get named. the president could get named. And I'm dying to see if anybody from the Fed shows up on the list, because we all know how government officials love to trade and do stuff in their personal accounts. Can't wait to see it. It's coming out. Janet Yellen says we don't have a recession when U.S. unemployment is at a 53-year low. Okay, she has a point. Everybody is obsessed with a recession. They're obsessed with it. They're obsessed with something bad happening. A recession, the definition in the dictionary is something like 2 consecutive quarters of negative economic growth. Who cares? Right? Who cares? The question isn't, are we in a recession? The question is the job market and housing market changing to where if the Fed continues to tighten, he creates a gigantic problem? What kind of problem? I don't know. How about the New York Post reporting millions of Americans earning $100K are living paycheck to paycheck? I mean, credit card debt in the United States is off the charts. It's off the charts. And the interest rates are at like 30%. So this whole idea of the Fed just, permanently tightening, the job numbers from last week, as I said on Friday, basically reaffirmed that we've established a market clearing price for people, meaning companies no longer have to bid up wages. Wages are now at a point where people who either didn't have jobs, need jobs, are matched with people who need to hire. And that happened 500,000 times, right? At the start of the year, everyone's like, okay, we got to fill our positions. And there were people there to fill them. If the unemployment rate is very low, great. The unemployment rate is very low. That's good. Okay. But it doesn't mean that the Fed has to continue to tighten because 500,000 people got jobs. Matter of fact, I would argue the fact that 500,000 people got jobs means we have reached a wage level where people are like, okay, let's go to work. Gold miner consolidation accelerates. Newmont announces a confidential and non-binding proposal to acquire Newcrest. Miners are going to buy other miners, and then industrial companies like Tesla are going to buy the mines themselves, right? If they can't get their hands on gold, they're going to buy the mines. If they can't get their hands on silver, they'll buy the mines. In Bitcoin, if they can't get their hands on Bitcoin, they'll buy MicroStrategy. If they can't get their hands on Bitcoin, they'll buy Grayscale. They'll buy GBTC. They're already after the futures contracts and the ETF. You can expect headlines like this on an ongoing basis. Okay? On an ongoing basis. Okay, let's see who else. Let's see what else we got going on the chat here. Crypto and the Matrix here from London, UK. Welcome. Housing prices are dropping very soon, according to Bart with a T. Jazz, good morning from Australia. Housing prices are already dropping. Okay. Big Rich says, let's get the alpha rolling. Okay. JP Stanley says, I bought the dip on Bark this morning and he's fully loaded. Joe Mike, what's up? Okay. Rung again says the pricing mechanism cannot rely on human greed. This will be a good AI project for stability. Okay. An algorithmic stablecoin that uses AI, or anybody who figures out how to enter or integrate AI into the crypto space, will obviously get a lot of attention. Okay. Ronnie says Austin is the oasis. It is. It's a beautiful place, but even the most beautiful places are not immune to the forces of the market. Now, charts, market update. Let's go. All right. Bitcoin, patterns that repeat themselves. I have a great idea. Let's do something simple. This line at the bottom of the chart is the 13-month RSI. So if you buy a standard technical analysis textbook and they talk about RSI, they'll tell you this. It's a number that ranges from 0 to 100. Okay, if the RSI is above 80, or if the RSI is above 70, or the RSI is below 30, you have something to look at. So if the RSI is at 70, you can say it's probably overbought. If it's below 30, you can say it might be oversold. It works really good in range trading environments. Okay, trending environments, not as much. Now, in this case, we're looking at a monthly stochastic in Bitcoin. So everybody is talking about everything but this. And if you look at the entire history of Bitcoin, you have monthly stochastics. I'm sorry, monthly RSI. So sorry. The white line is the 13-day RSI. Most of the time in the chart books, they'll tell you 5, 9, and 14-day. I had basically the smartest person I know. He used the 13. So I was like, oh, well, let's try that. So this is the 13-month RSI in Bitcoin. And it's oversold. It's trying to cross up. It crossed up in 2015. It crossed up in 2019. Now, you know how we're always talking about, or I'm always joking about the one chart market update? All right, here's the one question market update. How long do you think Bitcoin can stay this oversold? Especially with all the factors that I'm talking about, like limited supply, Satoshi's vision, up-only accumulation price action. I mean, it's oversold. I mean, in 2021, it was overbought. The new high in price at the end of the year in 2021 was not even close to being confirmed. You had this ugly monthly bearish divergence, which created the crash. And now that the crash is over, everybody's like, oh, I'm bearish. It's a sucker's rally. Not according to this. Now, when you see this, and then everyone sees it, right? So I don't know, we get like 1,100 people watching the stream. You know, I'm not the only one talking about this. People will see this, and the question becomes, what do I want to do with it? I think you come up with what I'm calling a 10-day plan, like a 10-day juice cleanse, okay? Like a 10-day program where you say, all right, I'm going to buy dips at 22.5, 22, and 21.7. So if there are dips down there or flash crashes, it's my 10-day dip plan. Back to monthly stochastics. So here's like Dell laying people off. This is NASDAQ 100. The only time you've seen stochastics this oversold and crossing back up again was back in 2009 when they destroyed the market from the housing crash. Okay. Okay. Emergency phone call. Got to put you on hold. Okay, I'm back. Thank you very much for your patience. NASDAQ looks like it did in 2009. And of course, tech executives who don't have this chart, okay, don't realize that they're laying people off at the low. Ethereum monthly. Now, these stochastics, they're not stochastics. It's a DeMark indicator called a DeMarker. It has a forward-looking component. As you can see, this RSI or this measure is at bargain basement levels and turning higher, just as they were in the first half of 2019. So whether you're looking at RSI, stochastics, it doesn't matter. The bullish pattern that everyone is not talking about is how long can this last? How long, right? So when you look at Bitcoin monthly, again on DeMark, the stochastics have been going the other way actually for a while. Now, you have one up month in January, and here we are in February. People may want to be long, but they're too scared to be. This should eliminate that fear. It should eliminate it. Now, if you have the Dow on a log chart, okay, couple things to note. This is where you bring balance into your life and into your analysis. So this is the Williams Awesome Oscillator on the log chart of the Dow Jones. And it's monthly. Now, this Williams Oscillator did sort of like a cross from negative to positive. I noticed a couple times. It did it in 2009. And I saw a spike just like this right before the crash in 2020. Huh. All right. So let's think about this for a second. If we're looking for a dip in the next 10 days, we're sort of hoping that the big move in stocks winds up being up, but there could be some sort of outlier event in the next 10 days. That's why I want to develop a 10-day plan. I want to get off this. It's a sucker's rally. Let the short sellers do what they have to do. If they get lucky with the wild event, that dip opportunity, not investment advice, I'm buying that dip. That's all I can say. The Dow chart is the only thing I got that hints that it could be a sharp dip. Last week, I was talking about a flash crash, right? Talking about taking advantage of a flash crash, okay? Robin says, nice traditional ringtone on that phone. Yes. I have a relative who's okay. Everything is okay. So that was a doctor. So again, sorry about the interruption. All is well. You have a bullish divergence in Bitcoin. So not only, this is the Bitcoin weekly chart that one of my friends was asking for earlier. So here is right around the mouse. That's a new low in price, right? That's the FTX puke. But the stochastic, the 13-week stochastic made a higher low. It made a higher low. And when you get these things, you can have tremendous reversals. Tremendous, right? Don't believe me? Okay. Well, here's the 13-week RSI at the start of 2021. And there's the level. Bitcoin is at 60 something. And then Bitcoin goes up to 67 something. And look at where the 13-week RSI is. I mean, it's a higher high in price, a lower high in the momentum indicator, right? Is that bullish or bearish? That's a bearish divergence, and boom. Okay, this goes on and on and on and on for months. Months. Okay. So is it over in 3 weeks? Okay, we went from 20 to 24. Oh, okay, that's it. You know, Mr. Slate blows the whistle. Fred Flintstone can go home, right? No. Matter of fact, when it comes to divergence, it's the second leg that's always more severe or always more violent in price action. And again, look at the down move. I mean, this was down only, like down only. So why can't this be up only? 6,500 homes going up for sale in Austin, Texas, in a market with no bid. And Austin's the only market that this is happening in? I mean, somebody said, I don't know, it's just like there's like a new layoff being announced every 45 minutes. It's not the number of jobs created. It's the layoffs and the income of the people being laid off. Okay. All right. So, all right. Robert said, I just got here. What are we longing? We're coming up with a 10-day plan to grab certain cryptos while in the meantime, we're giving you the intellectual justification or the intellectual fortitude to be able to handle any dip, small or large. Okay. This is a Bitcoin 2-week chart. This is an experimental viewpoint. All right. On TradingView, this channel, they're called Fibonacci channels. So I'm connecting this low in 2015, the 2017 high, and the COVID low, and I'm letting this channel draw itself out. Then I'm using time factors, and I'm coming up with some very familiar themes. So again, experimental, not going to do it with live TA until I practice. May of 2025, if you're looking for six-figure Bitcoin and then some, the target date is May of 2025. Now, based on the way I drew this channel, right? If you connect the 2015 low, the 2017 high, and the 2020 low, and just let the channel draw out, God, Bitcoin is just coming back inside the channel, right? It was out of the channel because of FTX. So everyone's like, it's overbought. I'm like, no. It was like, it was in the sub basement, and now it's just got to the ground floor. The top floor is in May of 2025. Just a reminder about Ethereum dominance. This is a teacup and handle, okay? Ethereum dominance is at 19%. I don't see any reason why it can't go to 33%. Period. This is a daily chart that actually squishes everything up, right, into this teacup and handle formation, with that handle formation being absolutely awful. I guess the bottom line is, on any Ethereum upgrades that come out, if stakers don't sell, then there's no supply in ETH. And frankly, I don't know why stakers would sell. You could get resistance at 1,600. There's a GAN point at 1,700 where if ETH takes that out, it goes. So you got to be prepared on the upside with the 1,700 technical level. The thing I like doing over the next 10 days is coming up with levels where I would buy, right? What are the buy levels? Now, Polkadot, instead of doing a monthly chart, I'm looking at 2-week charts. This is a log scale. Again, Polkadot is oversold, and it's been up for about 4 weeks. It's been up for about 4 weeks. So maybe you get a dip, but again, this is oversold, and it's crossing up. So even if there's a consolidation for 10 days, to be perfectly honest, unless it's a black swan or a nuclear event, who cares? Who cares? Right? This is long-term bullish. I mean, as straight up as you can get. Now, Cardano is the same thing, right? I mean, Cardano last saw something like this, I don't know, maybe in 2020. I mean, really, if you look at this history of Cardano on a 2-week chart, you've never had a stochastic crossing up, like, you know, sort of like knifing higher from this kind of level. I mean, yeah, maybe you did in 2019 when there wasn't a lot of history, but you've never had this like all the way up, all the way down again, right? So from overbought to massively oversold. Right? And they have a stable, there's a catalyst. There's news. It's not theoretical anymore. Okay, S&P, talked about this last week. Are there reasons to worry about corporate earnings, the economy, jobs? Yes. Is equities Fed dependent? Yes. Can the Fed go ballistic from here on out? No. No. I mean, there was all this talk. Jamie Dimon was like, oh, sell stocks, funds are going to 6%. I mean, if there was ever a case where an investment bank was making a recommendation, trying to hoover up retail liquidity, it feels like that was it. Or they were just trading off their research, which, you know, that's fair. I get it. But it's like, wow, guys, really? 6% funds? Like, you guys are covering, you have analysts covering all these big tech companies, right? You guys are not aware of what they can do with headcount and expenses. You got young analysts there doing models on earnings that have got every single, you know, sort of Excel, like Excel square or cell with all the different expenses, the income statements, etc. You don't know. You're not working off the estimates that the CFO gives you. They got guys working on this stuff around the clock. And pretty soon they're going to have AI working on it. So you don't know that the layoffs are coming? especially when they've already started. And anybody who works at Wall Street should know that once layoffs start in these big industries where you've got an industry-wide contraction, they don't stop. They don't stop. It's what happened at Wall Street. I mean, Wall Street had to do an emergency headcount reduction in 2009 and partly in 2008, but definitely in 2009. And they reduced staff every single year for the next 7 years. And they stayed bearish. Like even in 2016, people were like, oh, nothing's ever going to happen in stocks. Hillary Clinton's going to get elected. The Fed's going to continue to do whatever it is they're doing. And nothing is going to happen. We know everything. Nothing outside of what we expect can occur. And then somebody else gets elected. And then equities are off to the races after they spent 7 years laying everybody off. It never fails. It never fails. What never fails is when they start, they don't stop. And a lot of times the big layoffs get done at the low. They get done at the low because they panic. Okay, Algorand, 13-week RSI crossing up from very oversold levels. A lot of altcoins that big influencers like, a lot of altcoins that, are in the higher market cap zone. They're oversold. This thing was at $3. It's now at 26 cents. Are you saying there's no use case for this stuff? I mean, yeah, every altcoin doesn't make it, but like, look at IMX. Okay. So epic bullish divergence, right? You can see the downward sloping channel. These lines are parallel. Okay. It makes a new low in price. Momentum indicators on the weekly chart make a higher low, and you get this huge price spike. Now, is this over? Yeah, this looks pretty stretched out. But I mean, what happens if the stochastic picture on IMX starts to look like, let me say this again. What happens if the stochastic picture on Bitcoin on a monthly chart looks like the one in IMX on its weekly? Like, are we saying that IMX is the only coin that can have this bullish divergence and then fly higher? And IMX could actually also break out of this channel. There's nothing saying that they can't just take out the top above $1 and at least on a trading probe go up there and retest this level. These downward sloping wedges are normally bullish. I saw this in Kusama, something like this in Kusama at 20. Was on a stream with Oh Hey Matty where he put us on hold practically so he could just fire off a buy. Coinbase, same thing. 2-week chart, logarithmic scale. Here's a huge new low in price, and here's a higher low in stochastics. That's why this thing is up only. Goes from $25 to $75. Kathy Wood from ARK Investment hoovered up all the supply, all of it. Right? Avalanche. Okay. So I connect this point to this point, right? This is like the 2021 correction low from the summer to the high in Avalanche. And I think I draw it out starting from here and let these fib lines move out. Okay. So again, not live TA, but using Fibonacci math to try to come up with prices and times. So how about a new high in Avalanche in April of 2024? So these are like a diagonal Fibonacci target system. This is a horizontal Fibonacci target system. How about a new high in Avalanche in April of 2024? That's a year from now, a new high. Like, ask yourself, like, long-term investing, like, God forbid, what if the Charles Schwab philosophy on equities can be applied to big cap crypto and you should ignore the noise, right? In other words, FTX was the noise. So, okay, that's over. The market's normalized itself. Now, where is Avalanche going to be in a year? Where is fill in the blank crypto going to be in a year? Solana. Okay, similar structure. right? I'm trying to use the channels and the time work as well. Okay. Now, in this case, I believe I connected this original point with the 2020 low. And it's really interesting. Who would call for an all-time high in Solana in August of 2023? Like, is there anything that could even create that? This is the legitimate interrogative, because yes, I realize that this is a bit cray, right? I understand. But this is a Solana 2-week chart, and this is oversold, right? This is oversold. And this Williams oscillator points to a big move. So either there's going to be a negative event like COVID, or a nuclear event, or a war, and everything is going to go down, or the big move is up and you got 10 days to get ready for it. So put your stops in, put your bids in, put your stops in, manage risk. But I'm inclined to think positive here, because again, this stochastic is telling you to think positive, right? It's crossing up from oversold levels, and there's been 2 weeks or a 2 to 4 week period of upside. That's it. And that's the market update. All right, let's see what we got. Let's see what we got going on in the chat. Okay, Crypto Jedi says if Solana hits his all-time high by August, in theory, Polkadot better be right behind it. Actually, Polkadot could lead the move. Okay. Bangalore, India is here. Welcome. Welcome. Oh boy, look at this. I'm going to tell you what this means. So a slight diversion from live TA just for a second. This is the governor of Texas. Today, I'm announcing a plan to ban TikTok in Texas. It's critical that state agencies are protected from the Chinese Communist Party as they work on behalf of Texans. What does this mean? This means that the deep state and U.S. propaganda is preparing the public, or trying to prime the public, to drum up support for a war with China. First, we got a balloon. Then we have TikTok. The people inside the U.S. government and the people inside the Chinese government, the philosophies of the Chinese government, the philosophies of the Russian government, the philosophies and policies of the American government, but they don't get along. They don't get along at all. Okay. And they want to fight each other. Sometimes I thought this weekend that, if geopolitics was like UFC, or if geopolitics was like American football, when these two parties met, you'd pay a lot of money for a ticket, or you'd sit in your house and cheer when the two guys collided. And you definitely cheer if the team or person you liked was winning. If geopolitics was sports, you'd be like, this is the fight of the century. Now, it is the fight of the century. Unfortunately, in these fights, old men are talking and young men are dying. That's what usually happens in wars. The fact of the matter is, the fight's been brewing for a long time. And in no way, shape, or form am I implying that any one side is any more just or right than the other. I am personally not a big fan of communists. I have good reason for that, right? I'm Ukrainian. I'm named after somebody in my family who fought in the Cold War and wound up on the wrong side of a fight with the Russians. So I'm a Cold Warrior at heart. But that doesn't mean that both sides, if two parties don't get along, it's the fault of both parties. This is propaganda designed to justify or try to justify war, which means you got to be able to buy dips. And you have to remember, crypto is freedom. Because if this guy or anybody can tell you what to look at on social media or not to look at, He's censoring your free speech. If it really was a threat to national security, they would have shut it down a long time ago. I know people who work for the government can't have it on their phones. I get it. I get it. But is this a fact or is this propaganda? Always ask yourself that when you hear from a government. Now, I'm going back to live TA. Whoops. Okay, here comes live TA again. Back to it. Okay, D says, live free. Steve J says, what's happening, Bill? Excuse the tardiness. No tardiness at all. We were a little early. Okay, so I'm going to go and I'm going to try to put, let's say, Casper. Okay, let's try an 8-hour chart. Okay, I want to go to DeMark on some of this stuff. Okay, not getting it there. Here's a way to look at Casper. If Casper's above 0.039, the objective is 0.046. I'm expecting dips. I'm expecting people to buy those dips. If people buy the dips in stuff like Casper that's been really beat up, then you have a signal that people want the market. Okay. SFG is here. Welcome, SFG. Always nice to see you. Okay, Enjin Coin. I saw short sellers after this over the weekend. Let me see if I can get DeMark work up here. There's Enjin Coin. All right. So when you look at these things, I'm kind of in favor of looking at them on a 90-minute basis because this sideways square range could continue. It could. I'm expecting after the sideways range that Enjin could go as high as 56 cents. Okay. If you look at a 4-hour chart, okay, a very similar type of look, right? Where it's just starting a trend in the other direction. The dip is normally on the 4 count. So it would be sort of funny that if the dip was sideways. I still think you have to be ready for some sort of flash, right? Some sort of flash in the pan, right? Because of all the saber rattling. Matthias is asking, is gold a good buy? Okay, so let's take a look at Pax. Okay. Anything on a dip, to me, like, you know, gold goes on like what, a multi-day decline. Okay. So kind of a nasty give up trade started. I don't know. It was in this zone between 1839 and say 1812, right? So this high in gold from August, like the post-Celsius give up trade in everything, started around 1800 even. So is gold a buy? Yes, because I think what's going to wind up happening is taking a sequential off this in DeMark. So obviously, this is the daily chart of Pax. This is oversold. Okay, the overbought condition has been relieved. This is a 3-wave. This correction is a 4-wave, and there's going to be a new high, which will give you an emotional 5-wave. So in Elliott wave, you have a trend has 5 parts. It starts here, and it goes short squeeze. And then people don't believe it, and they crush it. And then after they crush it, people go, oh shit. And then it just goes up and up and up and up as everybody like goes, oh no, I have to get in. Then once everyone's in, they drop it, right? And everybody goes, it's over. And then it's not over, and it winds up going materially higher. It gets emotional and goes through a 5 wave. So in some ways, you know, it feels like the best buy on the dip now is gold. Strategically, over the next 10 days, it's crypto. And we just hope equities survive. I don't know if they're going to smack equities around. I don't know if they're going to sell equities in front of earnings reports in April. I don't know. I don't care about equities as long as they don't get killed. I do know that everyone is just so bearish. They're so focused on this recession talk. It's almost like you have to fade it. If everyone's talking about it, it doesn't happen. The Fed has to back off because rates are already too high because housing and layoffs are occurring. Does that create a recession? I don't know. We may already be in a recession. Who knows? But if housing is coming down and high-end people are getting laid off, the Fed is done tightening, which I think is the key indicator. It's like, you know, is the Fed going to get more aggressive or less aggressive? I vote less. So is gold a buy? Yeah. You know, not investment advice. Do I like the gold chart? Yes. Right? Okay, ROSE. Always double checking that I've got the right symbol. So ROSE, 13 and a 9 top, and it doesn't go down. It doesn't go down, right? Like all of these altcoins, like, I don't know, I guess the worst case scenario is you get 45 cents. If it gets killed, it's not going down. I mean, it's just a fact, right? It's not. So let's look at a weekly chart. You know, this is something that you got to remember in crypto, right? How many of these altcoins like went all the way up and went all the way back down again to the point where they're so far away from their all-time highs? Yes, this was driven by mania and liquidity, right? But back in 2021, this is at 20 cents. Is there any value proposition for what these things do? Are these things better technology investments? Steve J is like, equity markets will be tokenized. Yeah. You can't believe what's going to happen when security tokens come out and they start tokenizing real estate, venture capital investments. I mean, NFTs were effectively the tokenization of art. They weren't breaking art up into pieces, but that's what it was. You created a blockchain version of art, just like you can create a blockchain version of a stock, or you can issue a security token. You can do that, I believe, through Polymath or Polymesh. T0 exists for this purpose. Algorand, as I understood it way back when, was a security token play that ironically was liked by Wall Street back in the day. Okay. Bart noted that there was a full moon yesterday. Okay. I'm pretty sure you can put moon phases on crypto charts. Now, you can get killed doing stuff like this. Okay. I think full moon, new moon, like bottom on the full moon, like it's probably not going to escape anybody that there was a full moon at the bottom, right? There was a full moon at a couple different bottoms, right? July, November, January. Okay. New moon, Friday the 20th of January created like a top, and then the full moon should eventually show up here at some point. Will it be a low? I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to it. Okay. This is why, like, over the next 10 days, I really want to get a dip. Really want to get a dip. Somebody was mentioning Synthetix. Synthetix is borderline the box of chocolates underneath the bed. You know, you want it to work because you like the concept. Better to have Synthetix create Synthetix than say FTX or some other centralized actor, right? You know, Synthetix is just breaking out, right? They broke out above a point, I don't know, like 230, 250, 256. There's resistance at 395. I mean, you know, risk reward, which trading types like to talk about. If you look at these longer term time frames, now, I mean, shorter term daily, this is why I'm talking about coming up with a 10-day plan. So here's the 13 top, they drop it. They bring it back, but everyone continues to sell. Meanwhile, they took out the previous fourth. They took out the level where, you know, the give up trade started from. Now they can't close above it. It's 279. But in Elliott Wave, you don't have to close through it. If you take it out, it signals the end of the downtrend. So how is this going to play out? Are they just going to buy it? Maybe. You know, that's why I advocate having a core position. This is something I haven't talked much about, but it's something I'm talking to my girlfriend about frequently. Okay. She's coming into crypto. Her family's coming into crypto. So I'm like, all right, you can't, you know, you're chomping at the bit. You got to get involved. So get involved. Put in 1/5 of what you might put in, and that'll help you focus on the market. This way, if you get a dip, you can get involved. So 22K Bitcoin, everyone's cheering. That's probably why it doesn't stay down there very long. Then if you have to buy a breakout, then you buy a breakout. But I don't think that's the play for the next 10 days. Okay. Metabuy says moon cycles are legit, was in the bar business for years, and the majority of trouble started on full moons. Folks, tides, sun cycles, moon cycles, trust me. Okay. Matthias is looking for a GLDN move. Very possible. Very possible. All it takes is one sale, one actual sale from the sales force to get an order for the water from Greenland that the gold retriever company that I work for has rights to. I have the GLDN and Bark token, so I work there. Salesforce is going to get an order. And if you don't think weather and like planetary events, you know, a typhoon in California, a miniature ice storm outside my door, and parts of the Middle East, Turkey. I mean, what's like some number? I mean, I don't know if just the chat heard this number. Like I heard 1,700 confirmed casualties or 2,300 confirmed casualties, and it's up to like 17,000. That's crazy, right? Spin came in to say goodbye. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Okay. DeFi perp. Wow, DeFi perp. Haven't even looked at that in a while. God. Okay, so this is the DeFi perpetual futures contract. One of the reasons why I think you could get some sort of corrective dip is you got a lot of new highs here in DeFi perp, and you got lower highs in momentum indicators. Now, what would be insanely bullish is if it just defies that. Let me just label this chart. People probably wonder why it is they can't just go out, buy a chart book and know everything. Well, this is why, right? Because this is bearish, right? This with the Williams oscillator means a big move is coming because that oscillator is right at zero. Now, my thinking was this. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. Now, bears are probably attacking this thing and they're like, let's skip this. This is a sucker's rally. Let's kill it. Well, this is the technical setup to kill it, unless you look at the monthly chart, probably. Or how about the weekly chart? Right? And you see a dramatically oversold condition. Which one do you trade off? Well, I think long term, you stay constructive. Maybe these aren't the best tokens, but I don't think you want to be like, okay, yeah, let's chase this token right here. I mean, if this goes to the moon, ETH, Avalanche, and all these other tokens are going to explode along with it. Okay. Okay. Huckleberry Native is here. He's been out a few months. Welcome. Welcome back. Okay. GLMR. You know, still looking at this. Let's try to firm up this range that it's in. I was drawing like parallel channels this morning. Okay. Now, what's interesting about this channel, little freestyle, you broke out at the bottom of the channel as I drew it here. Maybe that leaves room to take out the top. This is why, I mean, I look at this, and I'm like, God, I should get a dip in the next 10 days. I mean, this looks like no dip at all. But again, try not to be crazy. I don't want to get crazy, right? You have higher highs in price, lower highs in momentum indicators, right? Respect resistance for the next 10 days. Respect resistance. That's how that should probably what I'm doing. You respect resist. You expect respect resistance, so you can take advantage of long-term patterns. Okay, this is XOR. Oh, that's just interesting, right? So I've seen this before. This looks like Synthetix from way back in the day, where you get this like very sideways pattern after this epic drop lower. Maybe we can go to Fib speed resistance fans. Okay, so that was a log chart. So I think the most important thing about XOR is you think about this as the bigger the base, the higher in the space, right? Is this a base, or is this the dreaded like spike up, and every time there's a spike up, it just gets sold? Okay. JP, no, I do not stake crypto. Most of the crypto I have is in GLDN and Bark. And I've got like some standard Bitcoin, ETH, Avalanche, etc. You did not miss the DXY chart. I got caught being too bearish. Ouch. Okay. So they're buying the dollar. And unfortunately, with the earthquake, you know, when you have like big events like this that can impact banking systems, there can be a bid for the dollar. Plus, the payroll number probably gets everybody bullish, gets everyone talking about the Fed tightening, which I think is crazy. That said, 103.79 is the 23% retracement. And I'm sorry, I know it rallied in my face, but I hate the dollar. So basically, you got paid last year to buy every dip. Now I say, get out. I say, you know what? Hut mining is up 10% today. What is that telling you? Galaxy Digital is up 4% today, right? Are we trading DXY? Or are we trading Galaxy Digital and miners? Okay. Steve J says ARPA if you want a privacy narrative. Okay. Welcome. Okay. Through the Wire is here. It's actually not a spam call. Okay. Kent, you are not late. You are right on time. Let's see if I can get Hathor up here. Hey, when I get done with this, maybe we'll go back and look at Bitcoin and Ethereum levels. Okay. The question becomes, in crypto in general, when you have these sort of either rectangular or triangular ranges, do you have this? Do you have, oops, and then boom, right? In other words, do you get that one last drop where you hoover in the dip and then it goes? It's hard because you've got the monthly signals. That's what the whole stream is about, right? Everybody is forgetting that monthly stochastics, weekly stochastics, 2-week stochastics are oversold. And the question is, if you get some sort of dip and they wash out the bottom of this range, can it then turn around and take it up? Now, if you go back to Bitcoin and Ethereum, okay, Bitcoin on a 90-minute chart, 22,743. That's the support point. You look at a 4-hour chart, okay, I mean, it's sitting on 22,900. You know, it's tough to even say that Bitcoin's going to get hammered. It's hard, right? Because it's really not there on the chart. It isn't. I mean, it's overbought and you suspect a dip, but like, you know, some altcoins are overbought. Like, for example, in ETH, it's a little easier to say, okay, maybe it'll go down. Or maybe there'll be a flash crash. Because you have a 13 top here. Now, it's not budging. But I've been a bullish wild man for like 10 days, 2 weeks at least, really since the start of January. And I just want to say, all right, well, maybe in the next 2 days you get the dip. So what's the dip plan? Well, I don't know. 1561 would be like Christmas, right? In other words, if you're setting up orders, that could be where you set them up. This is a 90-minute chart, right? I don't even have a place to set them up here. The sequential work isn't giving me anything, which is really interesting. In other words, the last sequential signal says, all right, the uptrend kind of petered out here. This is back on January 13th, and really no trend of any meaning has started here. So again, you could have like one more dip and then off to the races. Still think that that's what's going to happen. The only question is are you going to get chopped up? Right? I think that's the problem, right? Matthias says silver is boring. Let's take a look at silver. I know a lot of people thought silver was going to break out. I thought silver was going to break out too, but you know, in SLV, there are short sellers out there. So this is a good example of what you have to at least be prepared for in crypto. I think there's 213 tops. That's really unusual in silver. They try to gap it up to 23, and then it just sort of gaps lower off the unemployment report. Personally, I think this is algorithms. You know, they see a strong jobs report and they just sell or they get short, right? Silver's got support. SLV has got support around 20. I mean, if you had to buy something in Turkey right now, silver would be the only way to do it if there's no internet and no cell phone. Now, I know that's kind of grim, but, you know, you think you're ready. I always say this. You think you're ready. You can try to be ready. Like I try to be ready. no one's ever ready for the type of stuff that's gone on in California, in Turkey, and unless you had no trees and your entire house wired to a generator, you probably got caught in Austin. And if you didn't get caught by that, you got caught by this. You got caught by this. Okay, let's sum it up. Trading and investing is a game of probabilities. Long-term research, long-term chart patterns point to a bottom. The market cannot stay this oversold forever. Okay? It can't. Now, that doesn't mean there won't be a dip. There will be. If you get the dip, take advantage of it. And most importantly, have a plan, because sometimes dips can be sudden. This is Bill Noble. I will see you tomorrow.